I'm very, very, very excited today to have two guests on. We have Trent Knox. You can find him on Instagram at Trent_Knox_training, and it's KNOX. He's a personal trainer here in Sydney. And we also have Todd Binskis, or at Toddy Binskis. Yep. You can spell his last name Binskas. I went through a little bit quickly there, but if you watch the YouTube video, there'll be a link. He's a fitness director at Men's Health Australia, amongst a few other things that we'll get into later in the podcast. Trent and Todd run the 440 Run Club. And I was about to say that it is in Sydney, but it's actually going globally, where they have reached thousands of runners, maybe even tens of thousands. The goal, I think, is hundreds of thousands, if not more. So Trent.
Hi.
And great. Hi. Nice one. And Todd, welcome on the show.
Thanks for having us, Kim.
Not a problem. I'm excited to have you. So my first question is maybe a bit more of a personal one. It's always interesting when there's two guests. I'm curious to see to learn how you two met.
Yeah. Do you want me to start? I'll start. Hey, it's Todd. I was doing some work at Body Science at the time, so I was doing a little bit of subcontract work after Reebok, funnily enough. And I met Trent. He was training up at a place called Life Cycle Fitness, and we were coming in doing a bit of tastings and things like that. And just through mutual friends and whatnot, that's how we started to sort of connect. And that was a few years back now. So probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we sort of met, and then didn't really bump into him until probably about 3 years ago, when I was just sort of down in Bondi training, and we sort of had mutual friends training down the beach and things like that. And we started talking about running and the run club, and I was like, oh, not really a massive runner. But yeah, just started to turn up to the 440, and then...
so wait, was that already running?
That was already running, yeah.
So you started at Trent?
Yeah, Trent started it. Yeah, so
okay.
I sort of came on board properly about 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago.
So Trent, what was Todd like on his first couple of run club sessions?
Yeah, look, and we'll talk about this later, but we help each other out with different things, and one of our mottos is to try new things, not get bogged down with doing the same old repetitive stuff. We've got a thing called your day one, and Todd came down for his day one, and he's had a background of rugby and CrossFit.
Keep the microphone a little bit closer.
And CrossFitting and what have you, and so it was out of his comfort zone, and I think I can't speak on behalf of Todd, but when he came down, he realised that we had a pretty relaxed environment down there. You turn up. Back then, we didn't really speak much to each other within the group. It was just turn up.
Oh wow!
And that's nothing personal with Todd. It was collectively as a group.
Well, yeah, you got to there was only about 7 people down there.
Like 12 would have been like Christmas.
Oh wow!
In terms of numbers. And I can talk about how it started.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to hear that story as well.
So I was doing, I was training for a half marathon a few years ago, and one of the sessions we were doing was on the particular run at Bronte, and we took your traditional track session, which you could use for any sort of pre-season or cross conditioning, which was 10-400s, and we put it on the hill because the hill was 440 metres.
So 10 440 meter uphill runs.
Correct. Sprints.
Holy cow.
So, yeah, it was pretty hard. I ran my fastest half marathon that season. I placed 9th in Canberra. I was 85 kilos. And majority of my training was 440 runs. It wasn't called the 440 then. It was just 10 440 efforts and ski erg. And then at the end of that sort of running program, my mates that were running with me dropped off. I kept turning up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday. I was looping it, got bored on my own, set up a little Instagram account, started inviting people. Invited everyone 3 years ago in June on a Thursday, and no one turned up on Saturday.
How many people rocked up to that?
No one turned up, and then look, I mucked around with it for a period of time. Toddy and I reconnected, which we've spoken about in the past, and he was out of his comfort zone. Which like he's actually, you talk about like who we're trying to reach. He's someone that we wanted to reach, someone that didn't think they were a great runner, didn't put a lot of time into running. Fast forward to now, he's entered in a full marathon. He's done a half marathon. He's done 150 kilometres with me in Mission Beach for Red Bull. And so he was actually one of our first sort of candidates. So we're trying to get people out of their comfort zone, get people to shake off their ego. And so basically the idea behind it was a loop run. You can't be judged. You won't be judged. We start in the dark, so you can walk, you can run. So when we reconnected and he found a passion for it himself, we just started having fun. He started inviting more people. I invited more people. We started putting more banter up on social media. We were trying to identify where people's blockages were, why they couldn't turn up. A lot of them were like, I can't get up. And we're going, well, sleep in your activewear. I can't run. I said, well,
did you do that, Todd?
Oh, mate, I was all right getting up, but I would have to set like 5 alarms just because at that time I was like, this is crazy. I've never woken up this early to go and do anything like that. But,
on a Saturday.
But yeah, he would DM me and like another 30, 40 people, like a photo, like this photo would pop up and it'd be like a shot of like what was that movie? Point Break, and they're chasing Keanu Reeves down with the mask and stuff like that. And it'd be like 4:40 and I'd be like, what is this? This is so cool. And like stuff with like Justin Bieber running down the road with like all his like weird get-ups and stuff and then the 4:40 on it. And that's the sort of fun that Noxie would have with it, DMing people on this. And you get this DM, you go, what is it? And then you start sharing it. And everyone would see it and go, I want to sort of be a part of that. It's a bit of fun.
You answered a few questions that I actually had in the beginning here because I was curious to why it was called the 440. I thought your alarm was on at 440.
So it's ambiguous. That's the best part now. Like when we, quite often someone asks and like, oh, well, there's a bus called the 440, which there is. It could be a 440, but I mean, the true reason behind it, it was 440 metres and we just called it the 440. We never thought that sitting in a cafe and listening to people who don't know who we are sometimes go, oh, you're going to the 440 on Saturday. I'm like, it's a thing. We've got a thing happening.
Yeah,
that's
mad.
And
it rolls off people's tongues and
sounds like a secret club. When people talk about it and you overhear it.
It kind of is like it's, but now it's still got that underground flavour to it, I think, as well. Whereas people have got to come down to experience it to actually really understand it because they look at it and they go, oh, well, come down and run with me at 5 a.m. in the dark, run with like all these random people. It's like a bit weird for some people to fathom. But what we've really tried to do is break all that down and just make it welcoming for anyone to come down. So whether you can come down and walk it, run it, come down and just hang out or just come down and be part of something. That's what we're really trying to do.
Yeah, you look at your social and it looks very inclusive, which is great. Like you've created kind of that vibe. But Todd, tell me a bit about your running experience before your first few 440 sessions and what was it like doing those? Did you do 10 440s, for instance? That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Where were you at when you started and what was it like?
Oh, well, I was coming off the back of probably a bit of touch football. So I had a lot of rugby league, rugby union, strength and conditioning behind me, a bit of CrossFit. And really in a CrossFit workout, you're running max probably, say, call it a kilometre inside, like a run wad, maybe 1,500 metres. But I was carrying a lot of weight. Like I was 90, for me, I was like about 98, 99 kilo. Now I'm about 92, 91. But that was tough. Like it was just, everything was hurting. Calves were hurting because you're going up for 440 metres and you come down. The biggest thing that I got out of it was after the effort, I used to stop at the top. And then Trent would come up and go, no, you got to move. Like you've got to actually move and breathe and slow everything down and get your heart rate down, but keep moving. So your actual resting heart rate would start to, get a little bit better in terms of your recovery times and things like that because I couldn't breathe after like getting myself up to the top.
Yeah, were your hands on knees up there?
Yeah. And then what I found was after every time I went up, it'd just get easier and easier and easier. And then every time I came back, I'd be like, this is actually working. Like it's actually getting me it's getting me fitter, but yeah, you're running up a hill. But at the end of the day, I was starting to do the other runs a lot better, and through CrossFit workouts, I was getting through them a lot easier. So I was in the cardio workouts, and I was just like not as gassed as what I would normally be. So running experience, I've sort of just adapted it. Like coming down to every 440, that helped me in the sea to surf.
Yeah.
So I got like my best time I've ever got this year. I got 63 minutes in sea to surf, which is like I wanted to break 70, and he paced me throughout the whole thing, took my watch off me and sort of said, "No, just go on feeling and go on," because Trent's done a lot. But what that also taught me was there's no other training I probably need to do. You can get it done within that 1 week, or if you want to do it again, it takes you 40 minutes and it's hill repeats. And, you're getting your heart rate up to 180, 185, 191, probably max heart rate, and then dropping it down again and going again. And that just and for someone actually, and not even just myself, but someone who either might want to walk it, if they walk half of it, then run half of it, then they build themselves up over the back of that. It's
so they probably should make that clear. People don't have to do 10 440s there. Hey, you can do one or walk one or whatever, right?
Whatever you want.
It's designed. The whole thing's designed for you to work out what works for you. And we're very passionate about helping people move, and that's might be starting to move again, moving faster, trying something new, and we know the challenges that come with exercise and health and well-being. We're very across it. We're surrounded by a lot of friends who are struggling with it, mental health, physical health, and they're terrified to walk into a gym space. They're terrified to contact. They're even terrified to ask us. So this thing that we started, we started seeing all these layers. It wasn't just about us turning up and running. Like, we enjoyed it, and we made a conscious decision between the two of us and said, okay, we're going to be here every Saturday because we want to be here. So don't worry about if anyone turns up. And we'd beg people to come, and they'd ask us and all that sort of stuff, and then they wouldn't turn up, and you'd have a jib at them the next time you see them. But when we let go of that, people then really they saw trust in what we were doing, and they're going, we can turn up and do one lap. Yep. We can turn up and walk. Yep. We can turn up and sprint. So when people say to us, hey, that's easy, I could do that, cool. Go and sprint for 10 laps. And the beautiful thing now, which we see, is that there are some people that struggle to walk one lap, but then we've got ultra fast runners coming down going, okay, we want to break your record. And so it's like any exercise you do. You can do it really easy and walk through it. It's like push-ups. You go and do 20 push-ups, or go and do as many push-ups as you can in 2 minutes. It's going to fatigue you. So we say the same thing. If you want to make this a challenge, you sprint your life out for 10, then come and see us. And that's
that
7K.
horrific.
And that's 7K. But
Yeah.
when you've got a pack like we do, the effort and the stress in what we're doing is taken away by the community and the energy that we created down there. So when someone thinks they don't have the ability or the confidence to do it, we're like, hey, we're all behind you. 150 people. We'll tap you on the backside. We'll pat you on the shoulder. We'll hug you if that's what it's going to take to get you through it. And that's the power of the community we've created.
Do you get 150 people now there?
On average. Every week.
And they all do 5 a.m. on Saturday morning?
All 5 a.m. The distances don't matter.
Yeah.
We have 2 rules. Be on time and be nice.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you went from not really being able to rope your friends to come and do it.
Yeah.
So let's say 0 or maybe 1 or 2 people to 150. Tell me about the type of people you've been seeing through that time, because I think I'm guessing it was a different type of person that got there in the beginning to what you get now.
So firstly, we had to change ourselves, and it wasn't an immediate change. We've changed with this. We've evolved as people, and we have a greater understanding of what people actually go through in the psychology of actually getting there. So I can't get up on a Saturday. I'm not good enough. I can't run. Everyone's going to laugh at me. I'm too overweight. All these things. So we can't fix all that stuff. So when we let go of the outcome when we said we're going to turn up, we're going to turn up with our smiles on, we're going to turn up whether we're fatigued or we're feeling great. If we feel fatigued, we walk. If we feel great, we sprint. And we just kept doing the same thing every week. We put our posts out, we invited people, and we kept turning up. And I think from the community's perspective, when they saw us turning up every week, they all went, "What's wrong with these two?" And
do you guys sleep?
Do you sleep? What do they want? And then when they realised that, hey, these guys generally care, and then it went from everyone doing a standoff when we arrived to then now it's high five, it's bum taps, it's hugs. The community started growing it for us. So one of the girls who's fallen in love with it brings 5 girls. Those 5 girls bring 5 girls. So it went 10, 20, 35, 50, 80, 120, 150, 180, 220. And why it stayed at that level is because we keep the same formula. We start on time, we run, we dip, and we sip. We don't try and teach people how to run. We don't run a training session. Anything that bogs us down from doing the simple things, we just avoid it. You know,
So it doesn't cost anything. Nothing's needed to rock up.
Nothing. Turn up. And we encourage people to let go of anything that's going on in their world at that point in time at 5 a.m. Leave it in the car, leave it at home. Just come and run, come and move. Talk to us, don't talk to us.
You must have seen people who really struggle to get up in the morning, and then probably now they get up every morning, right?
Life changing.
Yeah.
Big difference for people that change.
Well, we've got a lot of stories of guys that were watching us, like watching the community and watching that post photo
On Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram. So the photo would just keep growing and growing and growing. And we had, guys from even, like, we'll talk about Jim, that came from our gym out at CSP at 5 Doc. And he was watching it. Like, he constantly would watch it, and he was just intimidated because he's like, I can't go down there yet. Like, I'm not fit enough. Or, that age-old question where someone goes into a CrossFit gym and they go, I can't come and work out with you guys. You're way too fit.
Yeah.
Because it's the
Any
image.
gym, really.
It's the image you put out, right? And at the start, we had a lot of fit people down there. Yes, we did. But when that started to change was just when people would just show up, and even if their version of fit is different to yours and my version of fit. So Jim would just watch it. He would just keep watching it. And it took him 12 months to actually turn up. And so he'd put on a little bit of weight. There was some mental things going on with him, but he, when he came down the first time, he said, I'm coming. And he came down and he started walking his laps. But what Trent was saying before, we got this thing called a bum tap, and a bum tap or a back tap is just an encouragement, like, you're doing well, or just keep going.
Show support, yeah.
Show support. And he got that from everyone.
That's awesome.
So we had probably about 180 to 100 people. I forget were going past, tapping him.
Yeah.
And he said he was running up the hill crying because he was like, what have I just come down to? I've got myself up at 4 a.m. All these people, I've got all this support. Why didn't I come down sooner? And a story like that has now changed him. He now calls himself Mr. 440 because he talks about it with everyone. He goes in the coffee shop and he's talking to randoms about what are you doing on Saturday morning at 5 a.m.? Come and run with me, that sort of thing. And it's just infectious because, and like what Trent said earlier, it's some of the guys, well, what do we want out of it? Well, we don't want anything out of it. You're going to get something different than what we're going to get out of it. We're showing up regardless. So we're going to be there no matter what. But the biggest value that someone can get out of it is just themselves, how they feel, or they might meet someone, or they're coming down because they've gone through a breakup, or they're coming down because they're about to go on to a big trip for work and they've got to settle themselves, or whatever. Everyone's coming down for their different story. But for Jim, it was quite cool because he was watching it for so long.
I'm sure there's plenty of people like that. I'm sure there's people now that are following you on Instagram or take a sneak peek every now and then, and they still haven't been there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that must, that's probably a really good drive for you guys to know that there's still more people to reach.
Totally. And that, one of our goals is what we said before, we want to get 1 million people moving globally. So there's a lot of people out there that have got every excuse under the book that says, I can't go because of this and that. Well, you can. You just got to make the first move. And I think the first move is setting that alarm or sleeping in your activewear or talking to a friend about it or
Yeah.
and it's always a choice. Like we get things thrown at us and we've just got to make a choice to go and do it. Once they do it once, it changes them.
Yeah. So let's get into that a little bit for some of the listeners who might not know or this might be the first time they've heard about the 440. Where is it? Because there's not only one place, but I think you guys run a main one, the one we're talking about, where you get 150 plus people. And how, I think we mentioned that there's no cost, but how do people get into it? What is the steps to take to get going?
So we've got 15 run clubs
In Sydney?
Now I want to try and get it right. We've got Maribyrnong and South Yarra in Melbourne. Okay, we've got Cronulla, we've got Bronte, we've got Canada Bay, we've got Balgowlah, we've got Byron Bay, we've got Gold Coast, Miami, we've got Cairns, we've got Seacliff, South Australia, we've got Western Australia, we've got, hang on, we've got to go back to Queensland, we've got
That place in Queensland.
Canundra.
Canundra.
We've got Canundra. We've got LA, which Toddy's brother Cody runs that, and we've got one in New York. And
I think you've missed the one you guys do, though. The main one.
Bronte.
Yeah, Bronte.
Bronte.
Yeah. And then there's Innaloo.
We've got, and we've
Innaloo.
got 2 schools running.
Yeah, one at Parramatta Marist.
Parramatta Marist. So the idea is that and I just want to go back to what Toddy was saying about Jim, and I think the big thing, I'm just sitting here thinking about what we do and where this is all coming to us daily, and Jim being touched by our members, is that what we've seen in what social media is doing in the health and fitness, we're probably going against the grain. We are a face-to-face business, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Face-to-face.
Not an online program.
Correct. And why we grew and why it's growing is that we talk to people face-to-face every single day about this. And that's grabbing someone on the arm going, Kim, you're coming this weekend, and you'll see me next week. Oh, I promise I'm coming. And we have fun with this. We're face-to-face. And the reason it's growing is that we don't change the menu. So like look at some most popular restaurants in the world. They do particular dishes, they only do a handful of them, and that's it, and they don't change.
Yeah.
So we don't change. We have a formula that works. It's face-to-face, and when you turn up, you're changed. When you see it on social media, it doesn't have the impact, anywhere near the impact than what it does when you get there. So we get complaints that you look too fit, you look too this, but we don't know how to change that on social media. It's just the way it is, and we're fine with that. We're doing more content to help, like this sort of stuff, to talk to people. But we know that when we get there, get them down to the run club, they'll be changed forever. We don't put any pressure on ourselves now to get them there. People sometimes might be intimidated by the guys running it. So we have our ambassadors, and everyone that runs for us and runs with us is an ambassador. So the how do people get in touch with us? It's usually through someone that's running their own personal account in that area. We're not trying to do a shotgun blast and try and hit everyone. We want them to grow organically. So if you say to us, look, I want to run one in Collaroy, for example, then all you need to do is put a post on your phone, invite all your best friends, and tell them what you're doing, what it's about, and encourage them to turn up. You don't have to do a launch. You don't have to do a Facebook ad. That sort of goes against the grain of this being organic.
Yeah, so what you're talking about now is if someone wants to run their own local 440 run club and be part of the 440 community, all they need to do is really just pick a spot.
Pick a spot.
Do they got to do Saturday morning 5 a.m.?
No.
They can do any time.
It revolves around your coffee shop opening.
Yeah.
So like if
the coffee shop's got to be open when you're done running.
Correct. Because it works with the run dip sip. So the dip comes from the swim. So if there's a lake or a pool or a hose or the ocean or whatever, it usually works quite well. But even if there's not, just getting together, doing the run, and then getting together afterwards is a really important part, because that's where all the chats happen of, I can't believe I got up this early and I don't know or this is really cool, or I'm going to bring my friend next week, or that's how we grew it. Like we sat down at the coffee shop and we got guys that were looking over at us and go, where are you guys coming from? Like, what's going on? And
50 people at a coffee shop at 6 a.m. It was like a sober dance party.
The local barista would have just been losing his mind, eh?
Oh, they love it.
Yeah, we get free coffees now. It's great.
So you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's what we're being very conscious of now, and while we're learning about what helps grow a individual run club, exclude us. We've already achieved it, and it's seamless. But we're learning about how we can help our other run bosses, and it's community. It's being able to work within that community. It's turning up. It's running it 52 weeks a year. That's one of our strong points.
Okay, so is that a requirement that you're kind of putting on people?
Saturday.
Recommend it. Okay, so every Saturday, regardless.
This is all suggested stuff. This is like if you said to us, what will make this successful? One, enjoy it. So what do you need to do to enjoy it? You need to put it at a time on a Saturday that you can sustain. Secondly, get help. Don't try and do it yourself. Thirdly, don't try and overdo it. Don't make it technical. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just turn up, high five, hugs and kisses, start on time, welcome the new people, walk or run, who cares? They're the foundations. It's built on love, it's built on support, it's built on inclusiveness, and having fun.
It's a great idea for someone who's a PT.
Oh, 100%. And even if you're a PT in, say, whatever area you are, you link in with a Pilates person, then you link in with someone who does yoga or massage, and you all get together, and that's like a nice acquisition piece to actually just bring the community together.
Build a network.
Yeah. What we have found, though, is we've got like basically a criteria that if someone's interested, they just email us or hit us up on our social channels or the Instagram channel, and we just send them through basically a checklist. Okay, this is what you do to start. This is what a run boss is. Point form, find a hill, find a location.
A loop or something.
A loop. Doesn't necessarily have to be a hill, but it's a loop. It's really important for a loop because you don't want to go for a run like 2.5K one way, 2.5K
Not inclusive
the other.
doing that way.
Not inclusive. And you'll get people that won't be able to keep up with the fast guys. And the whole idea is encouragement and just making sure there's face-to-face contact of people that are going fast or slow. Someone might do 2, someone might do 10.
That's awesome.
Someone
Such
might
a good idea.
hang out at the start and finish point just as they might take photos.
Yeah.
Because they can't run. So we had a girl, Jody, come down to us. I'll let Trent talk about her probably in more detail, but she comes down and she's just had some surgery, but she just hung out with us the other day and just took photos. And we were so fine with that because she was just encouraging everyone else, like high-fiving them and just hearing that from her was unreal.
Being part of it and still bringing some value to it, right? Like it's,
Well, I'll let Trent talk about how we met her because it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
What you just said, that she turned up and took photos, and that's something new to us, which we learned through our Red Bull. And I'll just quickly say it, one of our mates, Goodsy, who wasn't able to race at Red Bull because he was injured, still flew up to Queensland. And he supported the whole race and all the competitors. And so we're thinking, that's probably one of the pieces in our pie that's missing right now is, okay, if you can't run, you can still participate. So Jody's story was quite exciting for both of us. And I had my 40th birthday this year and I did 40 laps of the 440 on my 40th.
Wait, he invited.
And I invited people.
No wonder you invited people.
Yeah. So the compliment to Toddy and myself and our community was we had over 25 people turn up at 3 a.m. So it was designed, we'd do 30 laps between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. The rest of the whole group would turn up and we run the last 10 laps and, you sort of pitch this, we're going to feel unreal, and we didn't. So...
Dude, that was the hardest. Like that was one of the hardest things I'd done before I'd done all this other stuff I'd done the last sort of few months. But that was really hard.
So we're getting a photo at 3 a.m. with and I didn't know all of them. These were people that just wanted to do more than their traditional 10. And then this girl comes out of the dark at the last minute. She's sort of a bit awkward. I went, get over here, and I'd recognised her from a few, DMs she'd sent to the group. It was Jody.
Wait. What was the DM we got before that
sorry.
started?
Yeah, sorry. So I turned up at 2:30 or whatever it was in the morning, and there's someone's tagged us in this story, and it's Jodie in her activewear. And I'm like, and we love Jodie. I'm like, what a groupie here. Like, in her activewear at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's been posted. I'm like, okay, great. So she had taken a photo of herself, not only turned up at 3 a.m., not only drove 90 kilometres to get there, that was her day one. The guts of the guts that she showed to turn up on my birthday with a team of lunatics about to run 40 laps, to me was like, you're mad.
First session.
She lives in Central Coast.
You're in the right place, because we all think we're batshit. And so she jumped in, and there wasn't a lot said, and that was the truth of it. There wasn't a lot said, which is like, great.
It's 3 a.m. in the morning.
And I just remember passing it the first time and just put my hand on the shoulder and just said, thank you, welcome. And that's something that's grown within the group, is that human touch, that human interaction, that face to face. So she hung around all morning. Her story was she'd had a gastric band operation and lost a substantial amount of weight. So she'd already done that, but then to find a community that was going to include her. She'd found us on social media, never met anyone. We thought she lived in Sydney. We had no idea. Didn't speak to her that morning. She'd gone. And we finally got her story over time. And like to turn up and do that, not only like still overweight, still working through that, still dealing with the mental side of it. And, you know, I'm sure she's had some, but she would literally, which we're astounded, drive down to us, run with us. And while we're going having swims and coffee, she jumps in the car and drives 90 kilometres back in the opposite direction. She's, as Toddy keeps saying, she lives in Sydney now, and we think the reason she lives in Sydney was to be close to the flagship 440.
100%. Jodie, if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure that's why you moved to Sydney, which we love.
And now she, at the moment, can't run because she's had further operations. She's turning up and supporting our community. And this is what we call a run boss.
Just going to say, now understand that hashtag.
Yeah, the run boss now, and it's clear in our mind what a run boss is. We're not just the run bosses because we've been involved in getting this going. You know, a run boss to us is someone that's willing to give their time without asking anything in return, to empower other people that they feel that they need it, and just to be kind and show support. That's it. And we want everyone to be a run boss. We want 1 million run bosses, and then we want those 1 million run bosses to get another 1 million run bosses, because it's easy, it doesn't cost anything, and it's going to help people.
Changes people, all right? How many weeks in a row have you guys run the Bronte one? Is that the main one?
I don't know. I've missed a few.
Well, we've been traveling a bit especially the last probably 5 or 6 months.
But there's still been people running there on Saturday morning at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So how many weeks has that been running roughly?
It's been running a couple of years non-stop.
Yeah.
So since probably 2017?
Yeah.
Early 2017?
Yeah.
And when you guys can do it, you do it.
When we're
as
in
far as I
town.
understand, yeah.
The reality is now, and this is the beautiful part from our community, they don't have any resentment towards us if we're not there. They know that if Toddy and I aren't there on a Saturday, it means we are somewhere traveling trying to talk about what we're doing or start another run club. So we've got all their support, which is great.
But you still must have done a ton of them. So
Heaps.
And rain, hail or shine, it runs.
Correct.
What were some of the toughest mornings to get up?
World Run Day?
World Run Day was hard. This
World
year.
Run Day?
Yeah, that was on, when was
It was May.
May.
Cold, wet,
Raining.
rain coming from all different directions.
Oh,
Side
it
on,
was
front
windy.
Dude, it was windy.
Yeah,
I remember running up the back of like Calgary Place, up the back of Bronte, and you get this headwind that hits you coming over from Coogee, and it comes straight down the middle of the hill, and you're
A
running
big southerly.
You're running at an angle with your head down like this, just going, all right, it's going to stop soon. It's going to stop, and it goes for about probably 150 meters, and then you get this little clear bit in between the rocks, and that's about 50 meters of no wind, and then it hits you again coming down the hill. Yeah, that was.
And that was
How many people did you have on that day?
85.
85.
So we take a photo
mad.
every single time because there are still the people that doubt, oh, they won't be there, or they'll message me, going, oh, you're still on, and I either don't respond. I'm like, what do you think? And we're blunt with our people because we want them to understand that we're serious about this and we know the benefits. We know it's working. So we're sold on it. And look, I'm sure tsunamis, electrical storms, roads collapsing, we won't be there. But anything outside of that, we're there. Put a jacket on. It's only a bit of water. And you think about it, if someone's prevented from running because of a bit of water and they need it for their mental health, then what else are they going to do that day? Probably nothing.
Especially not at 5 a.m.
No. Yeah. So we're there. And you get a bit wet. Who cares?
Yeah.
But that's also part of the recruitment. Like when we say, if Trent said to you, "Hey Kim, you're gonna come running," and you're like, "Oh, I'm not sure," and we're like, "Well, what are you doing at 5 a.m.?" And then everyone's like, "Oh, well," and they can't answer it. But
Nothing.
We go further. And we were like, "Where do you live? We'll come pick you up."
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What kind of coffee you drink?
Yeah.
So and a lot of that's been basically taken into the other run bosses. All the guys that come down, they'll go and recruit people and do the same stuff. So people carpool. You'll see, like, if you come down, which you're probably going to have to come now because you've done the podcast.
Definitely.
You come down, you get there at we get there at 4:30 now because we just love getting there early just to be, set up and do whatever we need to do. But from like 10 to 5, it's like a flurry of cars that come in and like the rest of Bronte Road just starts to fill up. And then everyone's out by 5:45.
So last Saturday, so big gym again, on your big gym. So we've got a young mate from one of our sun bosses, we call him, from the Gold Coast. His name's Dylan.
Another story.
He doesn't wear any clothes. He runs around in his swimming cozies.
His budgies.
His budgies.
He did the Gold Coast Marathon in his budgies.
So Dylan, right.
And shoes, hopefully.
And shoes. So we got to know Dylan. We did a podcast with him. And, fast forward to last Friday, he messages me and he goes, "Hey, Dad Boss, I'm in Sydney. I'd love to do the 440 tomorrow." He's never done our Bronte one because he does our Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And I went, "No problem. Where are you?" "I'm in Strathfield," which is an hour. I'm like, "What are you doing in Strathfield?" He goes, "Oh, I'm at Kudos Arena." It turns out we wasn't sure if he was at Hillsong or Anthony Robbins. He was at Anthony Robbins. So I messaged Todd going, "Give me Big Jim's number." Rang Big Jim and I said, "Mate, are you coming tomorrow morning?" He goes, "I'm thinking about it." I said, "Well, you are. You're picking up young Dylan." So Jim's from out that way. It's an hour drive. And within 5 minutes, we organised him a lift.
That's mad.
And that's like to have that in our community so that when there's someone that really wants to be there, we'll be there for them. If it's someone that says, "I'm scared, can you pick me up?" We will. If it's someone that's just like doesn't want to get out of their own way and we're like, "Hey, you're not ready for this right now."
Yeah.
If it's someone saying, "Hey, would you walk with me, Noxie? Would you walk with me, Toddy?" 100%. But what about your session? Don't worry about our session. We've done plenty of these. And when we have that mentality of it doesn't matter, then that flows down to our members going, "Hey, this is just a movement on the Saturday. If you want to take it serious, cool. If you don't, that's fine. If you want to give up part of your morning to help someone else, that's a community." And we take the seriousness out of what we're doing. Because we can go and sprint as hard as we want any time of the week. But for that Saturday, we're flexible. And to get Dylan down there, that's an example we show our group and say, "Hey, how can you help someone?"
Yeah, that's amazing. I'd love to see all the photos of like from the beginning and all the way to now. It'd be cool to do a time lapse of it just to get them all running in like 10 seconds. Just
we should do that probably every year. We should do that as like we had our first Christmas party last year as a group. And we had about 40 something people. Yeah. This year we're going to do one. We're probably going to get about 400.
Scary.
Because that's just the way it's going to roll. Like everyone wants to be a part of it. Yeah, which is really cool. But on like a story about that as well with Dylan. Dylan ran with Matty Palmer, another guy in the Gold Coast that does Miami. And we met Dylan. We actually met him when we first did the Miami one. He was running past us in his budgies. And they're like, "Oh, that's the guy that's going to run the Gold Coast Marathon. He did this marathon for Black Dog." So he did it in his budgie smugglers to raise awareness for Black Dog and money for that. Anyway, we linked them up through mutual friends at Red Bull. They started to become friends, and then Matt met Dylan, and then they came together at a Red Bull event, and they went running together. They've since started this company called Mind Pack. So 6-pack for your mind. So basically to get males together once a month bring them together, have some pizza, have some food, start talking about whatever they're going through as a way for guys to come together and talk about things. So they've started a company off the back of them meeting at the 440, doing their thing.
That's mad.
Which is like, for us, that's
cool.
That's the pinnacle. That's unreal.
Because that's been kind of a breeding ground for something else, right?
We've just basically we're planting seeds. That's all we're doing. We've got running clubs within our flagship 440 where they meet during the week.
Yeah.
So we just provide, a running environment on a Saturday. We've got one called the Has-Beens, and they're all people I've known for years. They're all married with kids, and they've reignited their health and fitness. So they run together during the week, and then the Has-Beens come down and run on Saturday. And we're all for it. Like, we love seeing all these little things spawn off what we've done, because it's just spreading messages. They're getting their friends involved. So we don't have any stress now of going, okay, how do we find 1 million people? It will happen in its own time, which is really cool. And we don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question individually. Maybe we'll go Trent first. Out of all these days you've been down there running or running the run club, which one stands out as like the best one?
I'd probably say, I'd have to say, it'd be hard not to say my birthday.
The 40 laps.
Yeah, look, for me, I've had my own ups and downs during my life and career and what have you. And, I think everyone's idea of a 40th birthday, what it looks like. For me to be able to come down and celebrate my 40th, doing something I love, with something that I've, collectively with Todd, we're putting our heart and soul into taking this around the world. Not so much doing the 40 laps, like
yeah, that doesn't sound fun. That bit itself. To see how much it's grown, we're very hard on ourselves with what we've done, but the collection of people that were down there, Toddy and a few of them organised a beautiful photo that we'd had shot earlier in the year. I think to be presented with that at something that I'm passionate about, something that I've been involved with growing, probably stands out. There's some amazing stories between Jody and Jim and personal notes we've received, but the 25 strangers, more I call them strangers because we've known it, or everyone a short time. They're family, but they're strange family. It gives me a strong message that I'm in the right place, which Toddy and I talk about all the time. I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. This will be my legacy, and this gives me purpose. So I think that was probably the biggest present I could have received. It's a beautiful thing, right? Finding a purpose that really is, in a way, servicing others. That's one of the best things you can find, I think.
Yeah, we talk about this. We're intimidated by the 440. When we've disconnected from being, we're not the face of it. Our community are the face of it. It's bigger than us, and we keep saying this, and we wake up every day going, this thing is massive. This thing's going to be massive. This, I had a friend say to me the other week, said, mate, if you die tomorrow, this thing's going to be around for a long time. And I believe that.
That's crazy.
So we're serving a higher purpose.
How about you, Todd? What day stands out?
Oh, like Trent, there's a lot. And just thinking about like what you were saying before, I think as soon as I started to come down, a lot of people from where the gym, so like the inner west area, and my family and stuff were like, what are you doing? Like going down to this thing, like what is it? And they couldn't get it. So I think the day I had my brother, my dad, and some guys from my gym come down, that meant like a lot to me, because it was like that was support coming from something that I started to become a lot more passionate about, and just from making different connections down at the run club. And I had like, at one stage I turned around and I had like all these CSP shirts running down the hill, and then I had my dad with the dog, and then I had my brother with he brought his mates. And I took a minute, and I sort of went, I've sort of created that in a way, like Noxie's opened me up to that, and that sort of just spawned into bringing all these other people down. They come regularly now as well.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like a time. It was last year. It was summer. It was a really hot day, and it was like hot morning. And just seeing those guys and getting photos with them and stuff like that meant a lot. And now they're continuing to go when we're not there. So that was a really pivotal part of being down there and being part of the run club.
We
really
talk
cool.
about Cody now, like
Yeah,
he's currently at, what's going on in the last couple of weeks. For him.
So Cody was coming there and he's in LA at the moment, studying to sound engineer music production at a school. So a school called Icon. Basically DJ. He loves passionate about music and DJ work. So he was coming.
Is this your brother?
Yeah, my little brother.
Yep, Cody, yep.
He's now running our LA version of the 440. So he's the first one in LA to do it. He's at the back of the Hollywood Hills doing it.
That's mad.
Just gone through a whole heap of stress in terms of exams and pressure and all these things, which he's now thinking, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right spot? The 440 for him over there, even though he's doing it on his own, it's given him a bit of an outlet to go, right, well, that's all happening there, but I'm really looking forward to Saturday because that's the thing that's getting me through how I'm getting my exams done, how I'm actually getting my work done with my music. And what we did on our Red Bull Defiance race was when we were training, it took us 3.5 hours to do this 23K run. And in like the sort of second or 2.5 hours in, we were in dark places and we started doing this chant to ourselves like, this is good for me. Like that was getting us through. Cody sent me a video, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and he was running up the hill and he was chanting it like, this is good for me. Like, and for me, that was like, oh man, he gets it. Like
took it on board.
He's got it. Like, and it sounds so simple and so easy to say, but when you're actually in it and when you're going through things like that, when you're stressed out, just saying the words or just putting yourself in a position where you're actually, putting your body into a bit of stress, it just takes everything else away. So that's probably his sort of form of a little bit of meditation as well with that. But yeah, what Cody's doing over there is amazing.
Yeah.
So.
That must be cool to see your younger brother take it up, hey?
Oh, it means a lot. It means everything. I get a lot of inspiration from him. Like he's definitely outside of his comfort zone doing that stuff over there, and it just allows me to say, okay, well, anything we're doing, like we're take a leap and just go for it.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
So what are some of the challenges and the goals that you guys have for the 440 looking ahead? Trent?
Look, the goals, the main goal is to hit 1 million people. That's where we want to get to first. We are seeing spaces open up for us that where we can take the 440. And that's within corporate, within schools. We are interested in public speaking and trying to. And there's a couple of reasons why I want to do the public speaking. One is to implement the 440 idea within businesses and schools. So it's a loop run and getting people moving, making it inclusive. But we're also seeing that there is opportunities where we can help families, businesses. I guess where we learnt working with Red Bull the other week about how you can create better cultures within businesses. So how do you elevate, someone, a lower ranking person in the office to be able to be on the same page as, say, the CEO or the MD? We had that experience with Red Bull. We're friends with the MD. We got to meet all the content creators while we were racing. And that experience for us opened up our eyes to how things could be done better out there in the world. How do people work together better? Well, first of all, get them moving, get them healthier, get some meditation happening. Try and remove ego. So the run for us is where we started. That's our first product, is the 440. The further future products is taking the message of inclusivity, community, teaching businesses how to connect with their community. So we see I've come from a real estate background, and most real estate companies would, they'll buy some footy jerseys for kids, or they'll sign a check, they'll do a fete at a school. And we're thinking, well, we're doing a run club every week and this is really infecting people. How do we help businesses get better at their community involvement? And we're happy to help set up run clubs within those businesses that might infect their community. We find that if you're doing something every week, giving your time, it's better community than actually just cutting a check. So that we want to just take the message, get people meditating, get people moving, get the kids moving so it gets the parents moving. So not just target the parents, let's target the kids. We're talking to people about Indigenous communities, schools, what do you call it? Jails as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
correctional facilities.
Correctional facilities. Like we don't want to be exclusive to what we're doing. We want to be inclusive. So we've got a bit of work ahead of us.
Get everyone running.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it also speaks to all the brands we're working with too, where we don't we're not pigeonholed to one brand. We do a lot. We're both Lululemon ambassadors, so we do a lot of work with Lululemon at a store level and at a higher national level as well, and sort of being involved in a lot of their events they've got coming up, and how we sort of not infect, it's probably a bad word, but how we encourage what we do at the 440 into the business, into that business.
Yeah.
And then we also, like, we're working with Nike, we're working with, a heap of other Red Bull as well, just from being a part of what we do and just naturally where we're sort of heading with it. So we're open to working with, I guess, a lot of different brands as well, which is quite cool.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a challenge, like you asked about challenges. So a challenge for a lot of the brands we're talking to is that when they first heard about us and they started doing their research, they didn't get it. And when you look at our social media, it's like, oh, okay, well, you just moved, cool.
Why didn't they get it? Explain that.
Well, you got to come and see it.
Yeah.
Because, on Instagram's just, on any given week, there could be 30 blokes with their shirts off and the six packs there. And, there's some, videos and all that sort of stuff and Insta stories. So when we have someone that contacts us going, we love what you're doing, we want to get involved. We get an email or a DM. We're just saying, look, come down and run with us. Because they haven't, most of them, 9 times out of 10, the idea they have about us and what we actually are, this like planets apart. When they come and experience, they're like, what have you done? How have you done it? Yeah. So they're now trying to find space for us and go, okay, how do we, because they run their businesses and their products a certain way and they work with certain people. Right now in the health and fitness, we just see ourselves as not doing anything magnificent. We're just doing something simple, but it's working and it's against the grain where what most people are doing. So they've got to go, okay, you're onto something. We love what you're doing. How do you get 150 people every Saturday? And we say, well, you tell us what you see. Because we're just moving forward. We don't know where we're heading right now. We don't know where it's going to end. They've got to try and create space for us.
Yeah.
So we don't even know what that looks like right now. All we know is we need to get Lululemon's listing again. We've asked them for a jet, so we can. We've asked for a jet,
A chopper.
Anything that gets us around the world.
For what? Oh, it's just for traveling to different places. Yeah,
because we need audiences.
Yeah,
and
new locations.
It's audiences.
Well,
we need to get in front.
That probably talks to one of the challenges as well is when someone comes to open up a run club. So if it's another run boss, is just making sure that we've got the same passion and enthusiasm as what we've got in those people as well, and they understand it rather than it's not really about that individual, it's about the community. It's about what we can do to help the community. So that's another challenge we've got, not in a bad way. It's more just, okay, well, how do we then say it's okay, if you want to do it at Collaroy and you turn up and you take a selfie, sweet, totally fine, because you're going to get people that are going to show up after that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are probably maybe listening going, oh, I need to do a big grand opening. I need to get heaps of people down there so it looks like Bronte. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about doing it for what you want to do it for, and people are going to show up when they show up.
It's more doing it the grassroots way, I guess, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to enjoy the journey too.
Yeah.
Like we hand on heart now are enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
And look back and we like, I said, mate, when we get in a year or two, we're going to look back going, oh, what about when we did that? And what about, and we want to make it fun. And so we say to our guys, don't panic. Don't compare yourselves with us. We've been chipping away at this for a while. Best thing is we know it works, and we've created a platform that you can use. The more people you get to help, the bigger yours gets.
Yeah.
What about when we come back for episode 119
Yep.
of Kim's podcast?
Yeah.
And we tell him exactly where we're at.
When you've reached 1 million people. Might not even take that long. Might take me longer to do another 100 episodes.
It's exciting for us. We have a good panel of advisors who are close friends and been successful in their own industries, and we rely on them to tell us where we're going wrong, what we need to look out for, and we feel more than confident now that we'll hit that million. But I just think the way we're running it now and what it looks like, it'll be a completely different landscape by then.
Yeah.
So how about you two on a more personal level? Do you have any running goals or anything like that? Since running is the main thing, right? Trent, you might have done something before. You obviously said
I've been burnt out for the last
Canberra.
couple of years.
With running?
Yeah, and no, when I say burnt, like I've done some cool stuff. I've got, like we were talking today, I was an ex-surf lifesaver. I want to go and do the Molokai board paddle. I want to run New York Marathon. I would love to try and do a PB for City to Surf next year.
Yeah.
I've sort of foregone it the last few years. My body hasn't been quite right. So I'm now in a stage of just repairing my body and just realigning it. I've neglected it.
Yeah.
And, we talk about people looking after themselves. I've been negligent. Not enough rest. We've been working a lot on this. So I need to take my own sort of medicine. So there's some of the short term. We'll do Red Bull again next year, the Defiance.
Okay, yeah. That's a partner race?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that again. We've got there's a speed project over in LA next year where we've applied for. Look, we're in a smart way. We are trying to enter events for challenges for ourselves, but also to get our message out there and talk to new audiences and new communities. That's how we want to use that as leverage.
And I had a couple of questions there. New York Marathon, can you just enter that, or do you have to?
We had an opportunity, which was a small window, to represent a local charity in New York
To get a ticket in there.
for wellness in schools. We think we can get in next year, or we're putting our feelers out. We'd like to align ourselves with a charity. We would love to. Part of our plan was to take the 440 and do some run around a few of the kids' schools in New York on the way through and turn into a working trip. I just want to do it for the experience, but ideally we would love to then, if we can, get as many of our 440 family over there as well and infect the streets with our T-shirts. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And get people talking. What's a run boss? Have run bosses all through the city of New York.
Awesome. And Molokai, what type of raft would you do?
Board. I was a board
Paddleboard?
Yes. Yeah. I was a paddleboarder, and I would I'd go back to that.
Yeah.
So again, I'd need to get my body pristine for that, and it's always something I wanted to do. I stopped racing over 15 years ago on boards, and it's still there. There's still a fire burning there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like an amazing race. We've had I've had Kendrick on.
Yes.
He's obviously done well over there, and James Casey on as well. He does stand-up paddleboard, and he just won his first one this year.
Awesome.
So it sounds like an incredible experience for sure. How about you, Todd? Do you have any goals?
Well, I've just stepped into all these goals this year. They weren't really planned. Defiance was. The half marathon was. I wasn't going to do a full marathon this year, but I'm doing the Melbourne Marathon next month.
Oh wow! So you did the Blackmore's that was just been?
Yeah, did the half.
Yeah.
And
Do you want to tell everyone what time you got? Or
147.
That's very good.
Which was good. And I think off the back of like us being run bosses, we were helping people throughout that race. So I was actually at the last 2 kilometres, there was a girl that physically just felt like she was wheezing and just didn't look like she was comfortable. And I just went past and said, hey, just calm your breathing down. Just, relax. I'll take you through the next kilometre or next 1,500 metres and get you home. She DM'd us and said she got a PB off the back of us helping her do that. So for me, that gave me, I was like, well, I can do the Melbourne Marathon. I can just help people through this because I know that that's what I'll need and that's what I'll hopefully get from someone doing the Melbourne Marathon as well.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. the speed project we've applied for, which is basically a race from Santa Monica to Vegas. Team of 6, so 4 guys, 2 girls.
Wow.
And you just get there as fast as you can. But that's in.
And so how long does that take?
As long as
2 days?
Roughly 2
2 and a
days.
bit
2 days.
Yeah.
So about I think the winning team got like 35 or 36 hours or something.
And what time of year is that?
That's March.
Okay, so there's spring.
Yeah, they're spring. So it'll still be hot because you're
Yeah.
running through the desert. But for us, that's like a big thing on the running platform, because then we'll be able to tell everyone about our message, and that's going to be really hard for us to do.
Have you picked your teammates yet?
We have,
Yeah,
but
loosely.
we're just waiting for the confirmation, and then next year definitely do Defiance, because we want to make that. We want to help Red Bull and help the guys actually make that a bigger event.
Yeah.
So-
Tell the listener, I know there's a few people that have kind of watched it this year, because we had some friends of friends that did it, and we saw some stuff on social. What is the Red Bull Defiance race, and how can you enter, and what's required physically to train for if you want to enter it?
Yeah, so we underprepared training for that. Hand on heart, we didn't prepare at all as what we now know what we need to do. Basically, it happens in August. They do it in Wanaka. They did it. That's the original one in New Zealand. So you can do that one, but this one's in Australia, and it's open to more of an entry level adventure racer. So it's 150 kilometers of adventure racing in a team of 2.
Is it in Queensland?
In Queensland,
Yeah.
in Cairns. So you land in Cairns, and then you go down to Mission Beach, which is about an hour and a half drive. Beautiful, like unbelievable scenery. Like you're the crystal clear water. You're going through the back of rainforest. There's so much wildlife. You're going down like rapids. It's unreal. So day 1 we did a 10K raft, which took us about an hour and a half, maybe just under 2 hours. You jump out, you abseil off, you get dunked in water, then you go on a 23K run through the forest, or jungle, not forest, jungle, which took us about 3.5 hours. Then you jump on a bike, 53 Ks throughout all this terrain, which took us about 4 hours.
Wow.
So that was a 9-hour day on day 1.
Yeah.
Day 2 was a 20K mountain bike, start on the beach, go through the back of sort of Mission Beach, come out in an 18K paddle, then you do a 9K run, then a 5K paddle, then a 7K run to finish. So that took us about 7 hours.
Wow.
Training for that, we did a lot of 440 runs. We didn't train long enough. We were doing the right amount of training, but we just weren't on our feet long enough.
And 2 days back to back, right? That's a different beast.
You kind of got to be on your feet every session for roughly around 2 hours, maybe just over 2 hours of like some running. That we'd probably do a little bit more board work, and definitely mountain biking. So the mountain biking part was like...
Is it technical?
That was technical. It was probably about 4K uphill.
Oh, wow.
Of a very steep incline, sorry.
Were you riding the whole time, or did you have to get off the bike?
We got off. And like at that stage, you got up at 3:30. You're on the raft at 6:30. You're running. So by that stage, it was probably about 5, 6 hours of work when you get on the bike. So cramping was setting in. Nutrition's the biggest part too. So just making sure you've got, you're loading up on your carbs, you've got your water, you've got your salt,
Electrolytes,
all that sort of stuff. I cramped up a lot, like twice.
Quads?
Mate, the quads went.
Because of the bike, you reckon?
Because of the bike, and because I wasn't using them enough, like sitting down the bike. Then when I got up, and it just went, so I felt like I got shot in the leg.
Wow.
And just things like that, which I would say for next year they're going to change the course. But the really cool thing about that is you can come and do it, and you're going to have the support there to do it. So that was what we took a lot out of it.
Oh, you mean the logistics of the event?
Yeah, logistical, but also just like, Kim, if you came up as your first time, we're going to help you out. Like we're going to talk you through the race. Yeah,
during the race.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have support there. You're going to have people at every checkpoint to wait for you and, do that. There was a lot of that, which was really cool. And everyone felt like a bit of a family up there when you were doing it.
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, you're going to go out on your own and you're just not going to get like
see you later
and come back in within the time period and hope for the best.
Yeah.
that's what we really want to instill in a lot of people doing it. And I think this next one, which will be in August next year, it'll be really cool to get like gyms involved. Go, cool. Well, hey, the guys over at Athletic, do you want to enter a couple of guys in teams of 2 and get your support that way? Because it's quite a cool experience to train for it. Yeah.
So one question I would have straight off the bat if I was curious to do it, right, is do I need my own bike, and how much money do I need to save to enter this?
Yeah, so it's about, to get yourself up there, accommodation and everything, it's about $3,000. So from a flight to the race entry and to getting yourself there and accommodation and whatnot. You can take your own bike. It's definitely preferable. We hired bikes. Probably not preferable because we had, it was quite technical and we had just front shocks. I mean, I used to ride a lot, but I didn't have a bike at that time, and we were like, let's just get it done and work it out. You need dual suspension. You need to have a camelback. You need to have the right gear to sort of imagine you're going for a swim in your running gear.
Yeah, wow.
And then you have to go run. So just think of that and think of what would be feasible to get yourself wet and then keep running.
Yeah.
Obviously work on your nutrition. But the good thing about it is we've got a year nearly 10 months to go till the next one. So I think what we're trying to do is get some information nights together and work on, okay, well, what are you going to expect? This is what we went through. Mate, I'm telling you, on day one, I've never trained like that before in my life, never gone through that. I physically and emotionally broke down after day one. I can
imagine, yeah.
Because I had a lot of stuff going on, personal life, and it all came out on the track.
Because you're just so exhausted, you reckon, or just so it's overwhelming?
Well, you got no music.
Yeah.
We were talking to each other, then we went silent for about an hour.
But you're out on your own. Like you may not see any of your fellow competitors, and you got all this stuff going on in your head. And you got to deal with it out there.
Can't escape that out there. Hey?
You can't. There's no one. And we checked in and like we learnt with this race, and that's what we took out of it. So it was so cool that we can talk to someone like you. And you're like, I could never do it. We got through, and people look at us and go, you're fit. Yeah, but we're not prepared for that. What helped us get through was get rid of all the shit out of our head. We could either fight with it while you're meant to be racing, and you go, hang on, I don't need this stuff. I'm going to leave that there. And we let go of so much stuff individually. And we went to our dark places. We go, oh, I'm back. You're back. Okay, we're back. Let's go. Let's get on with it. And
you can't just take a seat on the side and go and have a coffee you've got to keep going.
Or distract yourself with Netflix or your phone or whatever.
Yeah. So we learnt so much. So we actually approached Red Bull and go, hey, we love this event. We think this will help a lot of people. You need to get more people. We want to help you get more people. So someone sees us do it and they go, oh, that's not what you do. Great, I could do that. And then someone else does that. And then that might even inspire just one of their friends to start exercising again. Like they see you go and compete. Oh, that's not what you do. Okay, well, if you can go and do that, I can do this. So what we've tapped into here is, and the thing we love about Red Bull, and this is not to plug Red Bull, is that they've created this event that's going to empower and encourage so many people. And we're onto what they're doing because it's what we're doing every Saturday. And that's why the 440 works. It's about encouraging what you call an average athlete if they're non-professional. We're average athletes to be able to go and do it. And we came away from that going, they're onto something here. Let's tap into what they're doing. And we're not being exclusive. We're going, we've spoken to Loz and to Jen and going, we want to get everyone up there. We want to turn into a big festival of fun and help people break through, all these blockages in their life.
Does that mean you're going to do it next year?
I've been curious before. I didn't know that you guys did it, but I have looked at it this year.
Come on,
I'd love to.
It.
Yeah. I think the bike worries me the most. I'm terrible on a bike.
Look at us.
I don't ride bikes.
Yeah, we're the heaviest adventure racers you know. I'm not 90-something kilos. He's just under 90.
No, I went quite recently, actually. A friend invited me to go mountain biking just up from Wollongong.
Yeah.
And did one run. Oh, it was sweet, but I went very slow. Next run, I reckon I went over the handlebars 8 times.
Yeah, but
I was useless.
But the thing about that is, it's not really about the bike. Yes, it's technical and it's part, but you got to work together. It's just about working together. If you can work together and the feeling you get when you come out onto some open road and stuff, like we had the last 5K of that bike. Mate, you couldn't wipe the smile off our faces because it was rocky the whole time, and we were like, "How good is this riding on the road?
Luxury,
luxury on the road." That was great.
That's incredible. So if people are interested in doing it, they can contact you guys and kind of get into training. And
100%. You'll hear a bit more about that in the next couple of weeks or months. I think probably about 6 to 8 weeks. We'll start to promote it a lot more. But yeah, definitely DM us. We're happy to have a chat.
And the other thing too, you got to look at, if you go back to what we're doing with our community, like we're getting people moving. First of all, so let's take someone who's 150 kilos. They've been watching our account for 12 months. They're not sure what they finally turn up. They get their confidence. They start asking questions about trainers and dietitians, and they start sensibly losing weight. Then they go, okay, I need to set myself a challenge. So there's so much space that's going to be out there for ex-athletes who are now getting themselves realigned, people that have never considered themselves an athlete. So all these adventure races, they should explode. And we want to play our part by just giving someone the confidence that they can, A, run up a hill, B, start feeling good about themselves, C, they can do it on their own. They don't need a trainer and essentially or initially to hold their hand. Then they reconnect with playing soccer, playing netball. They can go and surf with their son or go skiing with their daughter. So there's so many layers to what we're doing is then to be able to someone message us and go, you know what, 2 years ago I couldn't do a thing. I've just done my first full-length Ironman. Like we're doing our job.
Yeah.
So that's what we get out of this. And we want it because Red Bull like us and they like what we're doing and they want to support us. Well, let's support you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. And it's such a good fit, I think, the motivation behind what you guys are doing and then the motivation behind the Red Bull Defiance. It's very aligned.
Yeah.
That's great. Hey, we always, well, not always, we have started with it lately, but we wrap up the podcast with a segment called Last Words.
Cool.
A bit more informal, but also kind of a bit more fun, but and to get to know you guys a little bit better. So let's kick the first question off with what's the last movie that you watched that was either really good or really motivating?
Oh, is it Netflix?
Todd?
Does Netflix count?
Netflix definitely counts. That's I think where most people watch movies these days.
Oh, 100%. I just watched the first 2 episodes of Bill Gates, the Bill Gates story.
I haven't seen that yet.
Amazing. Like that guy humanizes him. Like he's not actually he's actually he's a human. Like, but he's that far ahead of everyone else. But he's unbelievable.
Does it start from when he kind of created his company, or
it goes through a little bit of that, but it also talks about what he's done in terms of in Africa and underdeveloped companies about the sewage systems and clean water and
also the stuff he's doing lately.
Talks about all that stuff, like which is unreal, and like getting
amazing.
rid of Ebola and all this other stuff. So
yeah, he's on what sounds like an incredible journey right now, having all that money and trying to do the best as he can with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I've recently watched.
How about you, Trent?
What was the boxer's name I sent you the quote for yesterday? Fury?
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, the heavyweight boxer.
Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury.
Got
him.
Yeah, Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Avengers.
I was like, wait, this is 2 different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tyson Fury, he's
Tyson,
incredible.
Yeah. So I sent Todd a text yesterday, and he says this quote in this doco about. Can I read it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look it up. He that last match was scary. His face was smashed open.
Well, I was watching his story about he become a world champion, and so the quote that he actually came up with, which resonates a lot with me, and he said, "Being a fat, lazy bum with millions in the bank is no life at all, but being hungry and fit, and being a lion in the middle of the jungle, well, that's life." And that really resonated with me, that I love what I do, and I think that it's about happiness. So I think you got to find your happiness. It's not always about money. Money's nice, but finding happiness in what you do. I found happiness, and I'm sure Toddy would agree in what we're doing.
Yeah, it's such a good fit with the 440 head because it doesn't cost a cent to go and do it. but it brings you so much, right? Like
we
not dollars in the bank account, but
we message each other daily going, how good's this? And we get these like little messages. They're not little messages. They're just little on the phone. And it's not money coming in our bank account. It's just someone we don't know going, I heard your podcast. I just ran my first 440 on my own. Thank you.
yeah, wow.
And then we're like, that brings tears to our eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't buy that feeling.
No.
That's for sure. Yeah, Tyson Fury gave away all his prize money in the big fight against Wilder. Literally every cent.
Yeah, wow.
That's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he had a massive layoff before that, so it's not like he had built up money in the bank. Yeah. You're both very active on social, but I don't. With what you're posting, with the 440 and through your own, I don't think you get many. But is there a last time where you read a mean comment on any of your posts at all?
Oh,
Todd?
yeah. I don't think it's been a mean comment. It's definitely, I think someone's looked at it and taken it out of the wrong, like they've sort of maybe spoken about what they're going through and used us as used me as the vehicle to sort of use that in a certain way. I actually can't remember the comment, but nothing like really mean, like, you're an idiot or you're like swearing at me or anything like that. Nothing like that.
Do you ever post anything mean on social?
No. And the way I look at my social is, if we have a conversation now, I'm going to say the same thing I'm going to say to you right now as what I'll say on social. So I'll never throw a comment at someone I wouldn't be happily to say in front of their face.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How about you, Trent? Have you had any mean comments on your social?
No, look, I've had a couple of opinions posted, and
like what?
oh, look,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So, we had a post on my account on Sunday. I didn't enter the Blackmores. I was 50-50 on helping some friends run. I did at the last minute, and I didn't pay for my entry.
You just ran
alongside of them, and I had someone make a comment on a post I put up because there was a photo on his account with no tags. They've obviously registered. I didn't, so they just said, "Look, we love your message, but you should enter next time." And at first, I sort of thought, "Oh, it's a bit rude. We've done something great." And then I went, point taken. Like, it does cost a lot of money to put these things on. And I guess, like, if that's what they've got going on in their space at the moment, then I wish them the best.
Yeah.
We're generally trying to make a difference, but I've learned my lesson. I'll pay my entry first. But apart from that, I think you've got to be prepared to take criticism if you're going to put stuff out. We've got friends that are like got big accounts and run some really cool businesses, and they cop it all the time.
Yeah.
So I think we're now prepared that as we grow this, it will come under fire, under criticism. That's why we try and make this a face-to-face thing. We eventually will try and focus on the run clubs, minimal social media, because we want to get our messages across in person. If I say one thing through social media in text and I say it in person, could take it two different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want to make this a real face-to-face business.
I don't know you that well, Trent, but I think that's a great story with what you said about the Blackmores run there. It shows your character, right? Because most people, when they get a comment like that, their knee-jerk reaction is to get aggressive back straight away. But even though you did a good thing,
it's point taken.
You're saying as well, that's so good.
It wasn't the intention. Yeah, I can honestly say
you had a good intention.
And it was a last-minute jump in, but I don't want to dilute what we're doing by something small like that, which, it happens. People come under fire for the smallest little thing. They do so much good work and they can be brought undone by something small and how they react. Yeah. Cop it on the chin, put your hand. I'm always the first to say, hey, I got it wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good attitude to have. When's the last time any of you missed a morning alarm to get up?
Oh, I think I missed a morning alarm. Oh, I haven't done it in a while. It was at the gym. It was for the gym.
You're coaching in the morning?
Coaching in the morning, yeah. I think it was probably last year, probably the middle of last year. I don't think I've missed an alarm.
Did you panic when you woke up and saw the time?
Oh, you always do.
Like shit.
There's all these things that go through, but then the thing that I don't like about it is I've let someone down. So
that's the panic.
That's the panic. Like that's the biggest thing. If I missed an alarm or anything like that, and you always try and make it up in some way, but it's really hard to make it up when you're not there.
Yeah.
So I think it was like
it's a tough one when you are a trainer, right? Because you do hundreds and hundreds of mornings where you're always on time, you're early or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the one time you mess up with that one, or not even mess up, but you just sleep in, right? That's just
And everyone comes at you. They're like, "Where were you? You were supposed to be
posting
there."
photos of being outside the gym.
100%.
Not open.
Luckily, I got some good partners that help us out there. But
Yeah.
Yep.
How about you, Trent?
Oh, mine's probably been recently. But there's a lesson in that itself, and we are at the moment, like, let's be fair, we're not really resting and being kinder. So we're on the go. So I think you've got to be better prepared. If you're not going to be there, you think you're not going to be there, just get yourself organised.
Yeah.
But that's something that's going to be our curse that we need to get our heads around, is that this thing's growing. We're the face of it. People want us to fly here, fly there. And we have to really take extra special care of ourselves.
You're in a sprinting phase, as they call it now. You're sprinting.
And we get excited. Like when people take an interest in us, we want to tell a story.
All right, so guys, if you are interested in looking into more of what the 440 does, probably the first step you're going to go to is your phone and look up Instagram, and it's _440. But the best thing to do is to get yourself up in the morning on a Saturday, be there at 5 a.m, have some running shoes on, and get ready to have some fun, I think. Guys, thanks so much for coming on. Do you want to add anything right at the end? Is there any plug that you want, or any sponsors?
When's your day one, Kim?
Well, I'm working this Saturday, but I'll have to try and make it one of the first Saturdays I can. I start at 6:30 a.m. over in Mona. Okay. So that's pretty early.
Okay.
I'm going to have to get you up to the Balgala one. Yeah. Or get you back over to Bronte.
No, I'll come and do the Bronte one.
Come and do Bronte.
Yeah. I'm over there. I mean, sometimes I have work over there on a Saturday morning, like at 9 or 10. So that'll work easy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, I don't really want to plug anything in particular. I just want to thank you for your time for having us here.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. It means a lot when you can get. I know this is something that you're pretty passionate about and pushing out, but we're a big advocate for time. So when people come and give us our time, we're really happy about that.
Likewise.
So
all right, thanks guys.
Thanks,